Hello, welcome to episode 55 of Daryl Show Your Work. And in this episode, I'm going to be focusing on hardening a WordPress-based web server. All right, so my most recent episodes, I've been focusing mainly on web-based attacks, web-based vulnerabilities. So I want to switch gears here and talk more from a defensive stance and talk and demonstrate more of how we can then harden our attack surface against some of these threats that I previously covered. All right, so I'm going to start by as far as trying to harden our WordPress web server here. I'm going to start by preventing unauthorized or remote interactions by blocking access to a file called XML-RPC, which is a PHP file. All right, so to give a brief overview of over what XML-RPC is, it's a protocol integrated into WordPress that facilitates remote connections to our website. So this functionality supports the executions of attacks, not necessarily attacks, but actions such as remote publishing via mobile or desktop applications. And it also enables certain plugins to interact with external services. So to enhance our security measures, I want to deactivate this feature because just like it can, it can remotely allow those mobile or desktop applications to remotely publish things. Well, it can also allow for remote call, remote execution of malicious code. And we don't want that to happen. So we want to try to harden our attack surface. And if we don't necessarily need that to happen as far as that ability, let's not do it. All right, so in order to do this, I first need to change to our WordPress directory, which has all our WordPress files in it, and then I'll be able to access um, the necessary configuration file to block all access to the XML RPC. All right, so the directory that we're going to be going into here to get to our WordPress files is srv and www and then WordPress. All right, so I'm gonna do a list all because it's going to be a hidden file since it's a configuration file. So the file that I'm going to be modifying is here. Is the htaccess file, and by modifying this file, it's going to then prevent access from the outside to this file. All right, so I'm going to use my handy text editor here, but I have to use sudo to give myself elevated privileges in order to do this. And then we want to tell it that htaccess file. I give it my password. All right, so I'm going to add a few lines of code here. All right, so I'm going to tell everybody that comes in here what this line of code does, and it blocks WordPress xml-rpc.php requests. All right, so I'm going to start actually writing the function here. So I'm specifying the file that I'm talking about here that we want to deny that access to. All right, then let's say order. We want to deny first. Prioritize deny. Oh, no. then we want to deny from all. All right, so we don't want anyone to be able to call this file remotely. Close this out. Command X and Y to save and exit. All right, so essentially what I did there was I just removed all access to that XML-RPC PHP file. So that hardens our web server, again, by not allowing those remote calls to certain files on our system, which we definitely want to prevent if not necessary. All right. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to apply precise firewall rules to allow only necessary traffic and to block sensitive um, uh, ports. All right. So the necessary traffic in this instance, since we're talking about a web server, is going to be secure shell, which is port 22, and HTTP, which is port 80, and we want to block the ports associated with MySQL. All right, and so the tool that we're going to be using in order to do this is something called a UFW, and UFW is short for uncomplicated firewall, and that's basically a program for managing net filter firewall designed to be easy to use. So it's a command line and it uses a command line interface consisting of a small number of simple commands and uses IP tables for configuration, which I've covered IP tables quite a bit in a few previous videos that I've done. So to get started, I'm going to first start allowing traffic in um, for SSH. So I'm going to say sudo UFW, short for uncomplicated firewall, and then allow from any to any port 22. And so usually we would only permit SSH traffic exclusively from designated IP addresses. But for the purposes of this video, I'm going to do any, because honestly, my virtual environment, I'm going to need access to port 22 to do some other things in here. But just know that usually you would specify the actual IP addresses that you want to allow those SSH connections to your system for. All right. So I'm gonna hit enter on this. All right. Then I'm going to allow um, our HTTP traffic. So I'm gonna say sudo and UFW allow, and I'm gonna just say 80. All right, and that's going to allow that HTTP traffic to get through. All right, now we want to start denying traffic. And so then we said we want to deny specifically traffic associated with MySQL, so we could prevent the types of vulnerabilities or types of attacks, such as a SQL injection, running those type of commands from our external facing website um, interface. All right, so we don't want people to be able to type in those SQL queries and be able to enumerate certain things in our system. So in order to do that, first I'm going to deny from any to any port, and we're going to first say port 306, which is a default port of MySQL. All right. And then I'm also going to say port 33060, which is another alternate port for MySQL. So I'm going to try to lock MySQL down as much as possible here. Again, to try to prevent those SQL injection sort of attacks here. All right. All right, so now that we got those rules in place, now I'm going to be deploying, which I've done in a previous video as well. I'm going to be deploying a web application firewall known as mod security, and that's going to actively protect our Apache web server from common web-based attacks such as cross-site scripting, and cross-site request forgery type of attacks, and et cetera, et cetera. All right. So in order to get started on this, I'm actually going to have to download mod security here to my system since I don't already have it, and it should only take a few seconds to do so. So I'm gonna say sudo apt-get install lib apache 2 mod security 2. All right, and this is going to install that on my system. All right, so it looks like I may have to kill some processes here. There's some processes holding me up from doing that. So I'm gonna say kill 9, and it looks like the process ID is 55030. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna kill that. Oh, I have to do a sudo. All right, so that's right. Gotta give myself some elevated privileges here. All right, so we're gonna try to run it again. There we go. All right, it's starting. Oh, let's see. All right. All right, looks like it's fully installed. So the next thing that I want to do here is I actually want to modify the configurations here, this recommended configuration file, and I'm going to do that to switch the default setting of it, and I'm going to explain that once I enter into the file. So the file that I'm going to be using my text editor to modify is located in etc mod security is security dot config and then dash recommended. Right, let's open that up. All right, so just like I said in the video that I specifically did about the mod security web application firewall, we want to set this by default. It's set to if we look here at the second rule engine line, it's set to detection only. So that's basically putting the web application firewall into a passive mode of protection. We want to put into an active mode of protection, and that's going to actually block some of the attacks that I mentioned prior. All right, so we want it to not just notify us when it picks up on these attacks, but we want it to also to be able to block and to take some action against those malicious actions from the outside. So I'm going to set this to on in order for that to happen. Then we should be good to go as far as configuration. So I'm going to save and exit. All right. So we have our, you know what I did? I didn't do sudo. All right. So let's just exit out, and I'm gonna tell it no. All right. So because I have to, this is why you need elevated privileges when you do things, or else you won't have the permission to modify those configuration files. So I'll just go back in here now with those elevated privileges, go in, and set this to on. All right, now I can save and exit. There we go. All right, so now that we have our web application firewall all set up and configured, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to create a script to back up our WordPress files to a remote machine or a remote backup server using file transfer. All right, so to get started on that, I need to first go back to my home directory. All right, and then that is I am Ubuntu user. All right, now we're back in our home directory. All right, so then first thing I want to do is I want to actually create the backup file to put to initiate the file transfer. So in order to do that, I'm gonna use it doesn't currently exist. I'm gonna do my text editor, and then I'm gonna call this file dash backup, and it's gonna be a shell script. All right. All right, so then I want to put a message here for people going in, put a shebang there, and let people just know that this is a bash script. All right, so we have to specify our source directory where all of these files that we want to back up are located. So on our system here, remember this is the system we went in the beginning to block that access to that XML-RPC file, and it's located in the same directory with all the rest of our WordPress files, which is src www/WordPress. All right. And now I want to specify the destination information. So the user that's on the other end that's going to have access to this is the Cali user. All right, then we want to say destination host. All right, so our IP address is actually 192.168.1.100, and we're sending this to our neighbor over at 101. All right, and then the destination directory is going to be home Cali, and then a directory called file dash backup on that end. All right. And then the most important part is this line that I'm going to write right here, and I'm going to explain everything after I'm done writing it. Clean this up. All right. Okay, so what's going on here in this last line that I put in? So with the rsync command, it basically synchronizes the files from the local WordPress directory that we have here to our remote backup directory over SSH. So basically, this is where I'm telling it that, hey, sync these files that's over here in our source directory over here to the destination directory, and to do it in a secure way using the SSH protocol. All right, and that's why I'm specifying it here on this line, and we're going to test this file out. So I'm gonna save and exit. All right. All right. So now I need to actually give it executable permissions here, since this is a new file. So I'm gonna say chmod, then plus X for executable, and then I need to specify the file. So it's file dash backup. All right, so now that has execute permission. So now we're going to try to fire this up and see if it does back up those files to to our backup server. Okay, I must have fat fingered something on the rsync line. So let's go back in and let's see what it was. And I spelled rsync wrong. Okay, make that adjustment. All right. All right, let's try that again. Matter of fact, hold on, let me go back in because there's something I want to do, because we're going to actually need the same information when writing. We're going to create another script as well. So let me copy that. All right, and now we're going to exit. All right, now let's try to run this file again. Let's see. Rsync error, unexplained error. Unexplained. Could not resolve host name. All right, so. All right, let's see what's going on with the host name. Oh, well, I have to put destination host, don't I? I'm just fat fingering stuff up today. Okay. All right. So let's recopy this again. Copy. Save and exit. All right. Looks like we might be good to go here. All right. Give it my password. Now what's the problem? Let's see. Was that the right directory name? Oh, I think I forgot something else. Let's see. No, that's the right. Let me see. I might actually have to go inside of that. I'm gonna be so mad if I have to actually go inside of that machine and actually create that directory, because it should already be there. See, home. Yeah, okay. All right, let me see. I'm gonna try to run it again. Oh, we're saying that first. Okay, hold on. It's on my end. Okay. Ah, another fat fingering. Okay. All right. Let's see if 3 times the charm. 3 times is the charm. All right, here we go. Okay, I was gonna say I know that directory exists on that server. All right, so part of my fat fingering here of those of that code. All right, so now that we have that file backup process established. Now I need to now I want to automate my database backups, and I want to do this by using MySQL dumps and securely transferring those files in a safe secure manner using rsync. All right, so I'm going to So now I'm going to create another file here, and this is going to be again to back up those database files, that database that's associated with my website. So I'm going to simply call this database backup, and this is going to be a shell script too. All right, so I'm going to do shebang and bash. Okay. All right. Now, right, first I have to put in all of our database information here. So I'm going to say db user. All right, and then it's going to be admin db password. It's going to be secret, and by no means do I recommend using something so simple as secret in reality, just for the purposes of this this video and this demonstration. I'm just going to use something fairly simple, but definitely something a bit more complex and perhaps even encrypted as far as the password. All right, then we still say db name. It's going to be WordPress. And then we got to give the backup path. Right, and then it's going to be, let me see, make sure, hold on. Okay, all right, so we're going to actually have to, so I'm specifying a directory here that I'm actually going to have to create after writing this file, or this is not going to work. So this db dash backup, I'm going to have to create that actual directory here in a moment. Then I'm just putting here the format of things. Right, close you out. All right, that looks good. All right, then I need to add that. Okay, there we go. I was wondering why it wasn't lighting up. All right, and then now this is where I specify what I want SQL dump to do. Backup path, I just specified what that is in the line above. All right, now I'm just going to paste what I copied from the last script here. All right, so I'm gonna get rid of here because we're not using WordPress. This is not WordPress files. These are the database files this time. So, all right, so see, that looks good. Host, destination, and we want to change this to, it's going to another location. We're just going to send this to DB backup and not file. Two different sets of things that we're sending. All right, let me see. Then we want to make some changes here. Right. Then this is the same. This is the same. Okay, so everything looks good there. All right, so I think I'm good to save an X, and hopefully I didn't fat finger anything up this time as far as my syntax. All right. Now, okay, so now I need the remember when I said I need to create that db dash backup. So yeah, I'm going to have to create that hidden directory now. So I'm going to say make dir. So everything in my shell script code works correctly. All right, and then now let's execute this. So I'm just change this to db backup. Well, let's see. Not sure why I need the sudo to do that, but let's do it. All right. Sorry, try again. All right, for no reason why, but sorry, try again. Oh, my password. Oh. Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. Sudo, it's not the password to the database. All right. It's not a command. First, you didn't want me running it. Then you tell me it's not a command. Oh, well, you know what? Duh. Got to actually give it the execution commands, execution permissions here. So let's give it those execution permissions in order for me to be able to do so, because it doesn't currently have them. That's why I can't run it. Okay. There we go. Now let's try this again. All right. All right. What didn't it like this time? No such directory. Rsync. Okay, let's see. Let's go back in and let's see what doesn't it like. All right. C County. Is that the name of the directory? Yeah, that's the name of the directory. Oh, I see. Another fat finger in here. Okay. All right. But no, I just created that directory. Let me see. Let's do a dash all. Yeah, that's there. So I'm not sure why it's not saying it's not there. All right, let's see. Dot backup. Yeah, no, that's there. Yeah, so all right. So fortunately I have this pre-written down in case of situation like this. So I'm gonna just burn all this down and just copy what I had copy what I have on as far as when I pre-wrote this out. Maybe, in case I just completely just fat fingered this all up. So give me a few seconds here to find where that is. All right, so let me just copy that here. All right, so let's try this. Oh yeah, I need to change my IP address though right here to 101. Okay, try running that again. Yeah, I'm not sure why it's not running, but that no, as you can see, no, that exists. We can see that up here. That so I'm not sure why my database backup isn't running. But usually, I mean, just on this step, this is what we would have to do in order to get um to back up our database files on our backup server. We can see this directory right here. Maybe I actually have to be in that. I shouldn't have to be in that directory. Let me see. I just want to see one more thing just to make double check. Yeah, no, everything should be the way. I'm gonna just copy this in here one more time just to double check and just make sure it's not on my end and just all right. So let's try this again. Okay, and then let's All right, let's try to run that again. Yeah, I'm not sure why that's not working, but yeah, this directory this directory is definitely is there. I'm not sure why the rsync is not it's not working. Let's see, and then the backup path. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure why that's not working, but we'll move on. Exit out of that. All right, so the last thing that I need to do is I actually need to schedule both the of these backups on for the WordPress file. So in order to do that, I need to open up my cron tab file. All right, so in order for me to start doing that, I'm gonna say sudo nano etc. Oops. Cron tab. Well, cron jobs again. Those are those scheduled tasks that we have within Linux operating systems. All right. So then I'm gonna go here at the bottom. There's just like a couple of things I'm just gonna add here. So I'm gonna say at monthly, and I'm gonna write this out and then explain exactly what this does. Okay. So so what this is doing, so this is going to schedule of the that file backup script to run at the first day of every month at 12 a.m. by default. All right, so I'm not gonna change as far as specifying the time um, that is going to run monthly, or the actual particular day. So we're going to leave the defaults in there. And again, that's going to run on the first day at 12 a.m. All right, and then I'm going to do another one here for our database. So I'm going to say weekly home Ubuntu user database. All right. So what this is going to do, so it's going to schedule the database backup, and it's going to do that for by default every Sunday, the first day of the week at 12 a.m. And I'm going to leave the default in there. And so now we created the backup processes both for our website files and for our database files. And so we're going to back up we're going to run these jobs. We're going to automate the running of these jobs to run a file backup of our WordPress site on a monthly basis on the first day of the month at 12 a.m. And then we're going to run our database files on a weekly basis every Sunday at 12 a.m. All right, so I'm going to save and exit. And that brings me to the end of the video. So disappointingly, yeah, I'm not sure what went wrong with our database backup. Everything within that particular piece of code in our shell script should have allowed us to be able to back up our database files. But I mean, just the main thing is just me stressing the gist of that's something that needs to actually be done. So to give a high level overview of what it is that I did here. So the main goal here was to harden the attack surface of our WordPress based web server. So first we started out by preventing unauthorized remote interactions by blocking access to that XML-RPC file. And then we applied our precise firewall rules using an uncomplicated firewall to allow only necessary traffic through SSH and HTTP and blocked sensitive ports related to the, MySQL. All right, and then we deployed the mod security web application firewall to actively protect our Apache web server from common web-based attacks. And then I created a script to back up our WordPress file server using a secure file transfer. I also at least attempted to do the same with our database backups by automating the use of the MySQL dump utility and securely transferring those to that remote server using rsync. And then we took both of those backup processes, and we used and we made a cron task for both to run them our file backup on a monthly basis on the first day of the month at 12 a.m. and then for our database backup to run that on a weekly basis every Sunday at 12 a.m. So please like, share, and subscribe, and most importantly, show your work. And until next time, take care of yourself and God.